All right, welcome to Exus the Podquest. This is going to be another Rule of Three show where we're going to cover three topics of interest in the areas of science, religion, and philosophy. Today, it's going to be pretty heavy on the religious side of things. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit emphasized one way or another, but today, a little bit more religion. We're going to start out with a quote of the day, like we always do. This is an awesome quote by Marcus Aurelius. All right, and it's a little longer, but hang in there with me. It's worth every second. Ready? It says, constantly regard the universe as one living being, having but one substance and one soul, and observe how all things have reference to one perception, the perception of this one living being, and how all things act with one movement, and how all things are the cooperative causes of all things which exist. Observe, too, the continuous spinning of the thread of the contexture of the web. Again, super cool quote by Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and a philosopher and just a super great thinker. And his whole concept here was like everything's one thing, and really getting into the concept that the universe is one living thing and one unit. But I'm going to take that as a point of contrast for the first topic for today. And the first topic for today is going to come again it's going to be from religion, and it's how many gods are there? Right, I want to know, are Yahweh and Allah the same deity? All right? This is seemingly a simple question, but first off, it's not. It's complex, very complex, in fact. And it's odd because I've been studying religion for like 20 years, studying all the various religions, not just Judaism and Christianity and Islam, but all of them, looking into everything that I can get my hands on. And I didn't even know that this question even existed until very recently, until this show, actually. This is our first subscriber inspired topic. I was exchanging topics or exchanging voicemail and email with a subscriber, and we were going back and forth, and he had asked me, why is it on the Exus the Podquest.com website, why did one of the blog entries not include reference to Islam when I was talking about a religious point? And it dawned on me then, I just thought they were all all three major religions there in the Judeo-Christian Davidic traditions. I always thought they were the same God. But then I started questioning that and thinking, is that the case? Are they talking about the same deity? All right, and so I looked into it, of course, and that's the topic for today. I found that there are, in fact, opposing views on this. All right, if you take a look on the internet and you really dig into it, you'll find that things fall into a couple of different categories. For instance, for the most part, the Jews and the Muslims believe that Yahweh and Allah are the same deity, but they differ, of course, on the attributes and all the various details and whatnot that they ascribe to God. So, but they do believe that it is the same deity fundamentally. However, the Christian group, most Christian groups, most of the people I've seen, the Christian thinkers, are saying no. They say no, that's not the case. They say that it's two different gods. All right, you've got the God of the Bible, and that's separate from the God of the Quran simply doesn't exist. They just don't recognize that as the case. Now, if anyone out there has a different view of what the Christian thinkers are actually saying, I'd love to hear it. I looked on the internet. I know there are obviously different views among Christian folks, but from what I'm gathering, that seems to be the case. So you'd have on one side, you've got the Jewish and Muslim interpretation, which is that they are the same deity, Yahweh and Allah, but the Christian thinking, no, that's not the case. Let's take a look at some example quotes from various sources, and we'll see if I can flesh that out a little bit. Start with the Christians, okay, and this is going to be from blueletterbible.org, and what they're saying on this question is this: there are those who assume that Allah, the God of Islam, is just another name for Yahweh or Jehovah, the God of the Bible. However, it is clear that the God of Islam is not the same God as revealed in Scripture. This can be seen in two distinct areas. First, the God of the Bible and the God of Islam have different attributes or characteristics. Second, the God of Scripture is a trinity, while the God of Islam is not. So they're pointing to some fundamental differences between the two descriptions of God to say that the God of the Old Testament is not the same as the God of the Quran, or the deity that's being spoken of in the Quran, in the Islam religion. So that's put that to the side on one point, and let's switch over and let's take a look at the Quran, the Muslims, and what do they say? This is from aboutislam.net, and it says this. Their short answer to the question is yes. Muslims are worshiping the same God that Jews and Christians worship. We believe that God sent many prophets to mankind, all with the same message: worship God alone. That pure monotheistic message was diluted and corrupted over time. Muslims believe that they have the fullest understanding of what that God is like because they have the final revelation about him. In respecting other religious traditions, Islam is not abandoning anything. We should never feel threatened by goodness wherever it is to be found. That again is from aboutislam.net. Pretty clear statement. They're saying, look, we're all talking about the same God. Christians, no, they're not saying that. But let's see what the Jews have to say. All right. David Meshaloff is a PhD mathematician, PhD in the Talmud, an Orthodox community rabbi, and here's what he has to say about this question. And it's pretty much it's exactly phrased this way. It says, "Do Jews believe in Allah?" And he said this: "We Jews believe in one completely spiritual, transcendent God who is also intimately present in this universe, who rewards and punishes as is appropriate. If Allah is just another name for that, then the answer to your question is yes. But we do not believe that the prophecies that Islam claims that God Allah gave to Muhammad, certainly not the ones about Islam replacing Judaism." So he wants to be careful not to say that there's a complete alignment there, but there are differences in how to implement it. But the belief system is the same. He's saying yes, if you're talking about one spiritual transcendent God who is also immanent in the universe, then yes, he's saying the Jewish people believe that they are the same God. And an interesting side point, by the way, all right, because I keep trying to pronounce Allah properly, but also if you look at the name for God in the Old Testament, most of the time it's Yahweh, and actually it doesn't even get written out that way. It's just the four letters that make up, or four consonants that make up the word. Might be screwing that up a little bit, but whatever it is, there's only four letters, and the name Yahweh comes out of that. And so, but an alternative name in the Old Testament is Elohim. So if it's similar, Allah and Elohim, again, a similarity, another alignment between the two religions. All right. The Conversation is a very popular website, and it says this about the question. It sides with the Jewish Muslim piece and says Muslims, Christians, and Jews do all worship the same complex God. Yet in spite of this, all believe that their religion contains the full and final revelation of the same God. Here is the origin of their unity. Here also lies the cause of their division. So it's a very interesting synthesis of what we're talking about here. But again, the conversation.com coming out in favor of it being the same God. If they're not all the same God, let's assume they're not talking about, Christians are right, they're not all talking about the same God, then what does that mean? It means one of three things. Okay? It means that one or more of them are right and the others are wrong, okay? Or that they're all wrong because there's no God, okay? Or they're all right, they're all correct because there's more than one God. All right? That's a concept that's antithetical to monotheism, of course, polytheism. But how many people in the universe, how many people who've ever lived believed in monotheism? I'm going to suggest that it's small compared to the number that believed in polytheism. And also, if you take a look at the Bible, got it right here, there are a number of references, many references to either multiple gods or a multiple nature of God. Obviously, the Christians are going to point to a Trinity situation, but the Jewish people also have to. I can't wait to talk to them, rabbis, theologians, about exactly that point. But also, if you a closing point on this particular issue, and again, the multiple gods thing is kind of a teaser for another episode. If you take a look at the Ten Commandments, the very first one says, "You shall have no other gods before me." Well, that's suggesting that there are other gods that exist, but you just can't have any of them before me. I know the Yahweh is the top God, but there are others. I mean, is that a proper interpretation? I don't know. I'm going to find out. We're going to look at this again from through interviews with experts in the areas of religion and philosophy and theology and religion, same thing. But really dig into those kind of topics and see if we can get some better answers and some additional clarification. In the meantime, please click like below the YouTube. Also, subscribe to this channel. We'd love to have you as a subscriber, and also go and give your comments. Any comment you might have, your input on this would be awesome. Both here on the YouTube, but also at our website, exusthepodquest.com. You go there, and we will be going ever forward.